Static Shock format animated series creator Dwayne McDuffie voice actors Phil Lamar, Jason Marsden, Denisha Keller, Kevin Michael Richardson, and Michelle Morgan. Original country US. Original language English. Air date late September 23, 2000 to May 22, 2004. Season 1 air date late September 23, 2000 to May 12, 2001. Season 2 air date late January 26, 2002 to May 4, 2002. Season 3 air date length January 25, 2003 to June 21, 2003. Season 4 air date length January 17, 2004 to May 22, 2004. A smart funny student named Virgil Hawkins winds up in a gang fight at the Dakota docks, even though he never wanted to. So, as soon as both gangs of Francis, aka F, stops soon to be Hot Streak and Wayne try to kill each other, the police arrive, shooting them, accidentally hitting some gas canisters and causing gas to spread all over the docks. Virgil runs home to his sister and father, who apparently lost their mother and wife in a crossfire of a gang fight. The next day, Virgil discovers that he can control electricity and anything metallic because of the gas of the docks. He goes to the house of his best friend Richie, and they pick out a costume and a superhero name, Static Shock. It is soon to turn out that the members of both gangs were affected by the gas as well. Static Shock, Shock to the System, and Aftershock, September 23, 2000 and September 30, 2000. It was turned out that Richie's dad was a racist, but when Richie gets captured by Evan, he resolves to change his ways and teams up with Static and Mr. Hawkins to get Richie back. Static Shock, Sons of the Fathers, December 9, 2000. Two familiar faces, Batman and Robin, get help from Static to take down another familiar face, the Joker, and return him to Gotham City's Arkham Asylum. Static Shock, the big leagues, January 26, 2002. Richie was given temporary lygokinesis, the ability to control raw energy, from what Dakota calls a metahuman, a bang baby named Ragtag, and became the temporary superhero Push. But it was all a ruse, as Ragtag wanted him to do criminal work. Static Shock, Power Play, February 2, 2002. Static once juggled fighting criminal siblings and trying to throw his sister Sharon off his tail when she began to believe that Virgil is Static. It's a lucky guess, but Sarah was thrown off by a hologram Static projected by a Bang Baby ally. Static Shock, Brother-Sister Act, February 9, 2002. Static was once hunted out by the Rough Pack, who nearly discovered his secret identity, but it was actually Shaquille O'Neal in a costume. Static Shock, Static Shack, February 16, 2002. During Christmas, Static encountered a Bang baby named Permafrost, who turned out to be a homeless orphan with mental problems and trauma as a young girl. Static agreed to help her or call for help to control her powers and find her a nice family. Static Shock, Frozen Out, February 23, 2002. Sunspots once appeared in Dakota, resulting in Static's lack of power control. Static Shock, Sunspots, March 2, 2002. Virgil once ran away from an officer to prevent her from finding out that he's Static, unknowing that she is his dad's girlfriend. Static Shock, Pop's girlfriend, March 9, 2002. A former nemesis of Static, Rubber Band Man, decided to reform. Static Shock, Bad Stretch, March 23, 2002. Static heads for Gotham City and again team up with Batman to help out a metahuman named Nails who was being lured in and exploited by Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Static Shock, Hard as Nails, January 25, 2003. Richie's increasingly frantic, inventing once worried Virgil and is expected to be a power of a bang baby. Richie was disappointed because his special ability of human intelligence wasn't hardly as flashy as Static's. When the Metabreed kidnapped Virgil, Richie has to prove his mettle, resulting in becoming Static's sidekick, Gear. Static Shock, Gear, February 1, 2003. When the Hawkins family went on vacation in Ghana, a country in Africa, Static teams up with a legendary African folk hero named Anansi the Spider to stop a group of evil African bandits led by a leopard named Osabo from stealing an ancient African treasure. Static Shock, Static in Africa, February 8, 2003. Static encounters a sassy female teenage superhero named Shebang, whose secret identity is a shy classmate who shows up Virgil every time. They meet. Static and Gear learn that she is a genetically engineered superhuman, and the company that created her now wants her back. Static Shock, Shebang, February 15, 2003. The Justice League once brought Static and Gear to a crashing watchtower that needed charging, and Brainiac was behind all of it. He was thought to be defeated when Gear tried to eliminate him using the backpack. Unfortunately, Brainiac himself didn't give up so easily, as he actually possessed backpack and later Gear, and then shortly the Justice League. Static frees the League, presently consisting of the Batman known as Bruce Wayne, the Flash known as Wally West, the Green Lantern known as John Stewart, the Hawk Girl known as Shira Hall, and the Martian Manhunter, with Brainiac randomly wrecks Dakota. Brainiac is really been beaten by a television remote. Static Shock, A League of Their Own, Parts 1 and 2, March 1, 2003, and March 8, 2003. Static gets a big head when sleazy TV reporter Bernie Rast wanted him, but that was resolved when he met his carbon copy match. Static Shock, Showtime, March 22, 2003. Static went on a rampage after Onyx and Puff, 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 Puff injured Daisy, but Rubber Band Man returns and cools him down. Onyx and Puff find out about the rampage and go on one themselves to take advantage of it as it was driving Static's anger to the top. Static Shock Consequences, April 5, 2003. Lil Romeo once made an appearance wore a Static Shock costume and was mistakenly kidnapped by the Leech. Static Shock, Romeo in the Mix, April 19, 2003. Spix and Trapper, who were hired by Alva to find the cure for his son, get fired by nearly succeeding in defeating Static with new exosuits instead. Both scientists use their son to blackmail Alva's son to blackmail him. Static Shock, Trouble Squared, April 26, 2003. Static once teamed up with a familiar face, Superman, when another familiar face, Toyman, appeared in Dakota. Static Shock, Toys of the Hood, May 3, 2003. Shebang returned to Dakota and followed Static and Gear to the gas station of Solitude and learns their identities. She enlists their help in locating her parents, Jonathan and Dolores Dale, who have mysteriously gone missing in the wake of a large villain capable of absorbing mass and matter to greatly strengthen himself. Static Shock, The Parent Trap, May 24, 2003. It was finally revealed that Virgil's birth mother's name was Jean Hawkins. Static Shock, Flashback, June 7, 2013. Static once reluctantly teamed up with a retired electricity manipulating and controlling superhero from the 60s named Soul Power to defeat a villain who is also from the 60s named Professor Menace. Static Shock, Blast from the Past, June 21, 2003. After assisting Batman and Robin with a mission, Static was accidentally sent 40 years into the future, where he meets a familiar face, the Batman known as Terry McGinnis, and to save his future self, who is 54 years old. Static Shock, Future Shock, January 17, 2004. It also showed a futuristic Gear in a hologram when Shebang returned to Dakota. Her new loud and expressive personality seemed to have grinded against Static and Gear's nerves. Meanwhile, Madeline Spaulding experienced a change in her metahuman condition, replacing her former mind control abilities with new telekinetic ones. She broke several other metahumans out of jail in an attempt to get revenge on Static. Static Shock, Shebang, January 24, 2004. Ananji the Spider once visited Dakota in an attempt to stop Osavo and his new allies, Onini and Mboro, from obtaining a golden spider, which is the source of his powers. Static and Gear got caught up in the mix, and they had to save Sharon, who ended up with the artifact. Static Shock, Out of Africa, January 31, 2004. Static once faced off with a familiar face, Sinestro, disguised as Green Lantern, known as John Stewart. who was committing robberies all over Dakota, only to find out that Sinestro was behind the scheme. Static Shock, Fallen Hero, February 7, 2004. Static and Gear did battle with a Nightbreed, a group of Bang babies who have a lethal reaction to sunlight under Evan's leadership. They intend to blanket Dakota City in darkness. This could have been a crossover featuring the 2003 Teen Titans series, as this episode not only takes place during the Teen Titans Season 2 episode, Date with Destiny, but the Teen Titans could have been in it, mistaking the Nightbreed to be working with Slade. Static Shock, Army of Darkness, February 14, 2004. Static meets a team of basketball players who moonlight as superheroes, consisting of NBA players Steve Nash, point man, Yao Ming, center force, Karl Malone, pulverizer, and Tracy McGrady, spin drive, and to defeat the evil scientist known to them as Dr. Odium. Static Shock, Hoop Squad, February 28, 2004. The creators of the series decided to create an episode that's about someone besides Static and Gear. Static Shock, When Rubber Meets the Road, March 27, 2004. The series finale could have included all of Team Shock, consisting of Static, Gear, Rubber Bandman, Permafrost, Anansi the Spider, Shebang, Soul Power, Nightingale, and Brickhouse. Static Shock Power Outage, May 22, 2004. A 64-year-old Static, as well as the Batman known as Terry McGinnis, and Hawkman and Hawkwoman's son Warhawk meet a young Bruce Wayne, the Green Lantern known as John Stewart, and Wonder Woman to defeat Kronos, who has polluted the timeline. Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 1, Weird Western Tales, and The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp, January 22, 2005, and January 29, 2005. That exact same Static was there when Terry said that he quit the Justice League. Justice League Unlimited Epilogue, July 23, 2005. List of enemies. Hot Streak, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Aftershock. Destruct, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Breed. Evan, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Breed. Rubber Band Man, First Confrontation, Static Shock, They're Playing My Song. Mr. Specs, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The New Kid. Mr. Trapper, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The New Kid. Aaron, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Child's Play. Slipstream, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Winds of Change. Edwin Alva, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Jr. Replay, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Replay. The Joker 1, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Big Leagues. Rag Attack, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Power Play. Boom, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Brother Sister Act. Madeline Spaulding, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Attack of the Living Brain Puppets. Replicon, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Duped. Harley Quinn, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Hard as Nails. Poison Ivy, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Hard as Nails. Osabo, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Static in Africa. Brainiac, First Confrontation, Static Shock, A League of Their Own Parts 1 and 2. Starburst, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Showtime. Onyx, First Confrontation, Static Shock, A League of Their Own Part 1. Puff, Puff, Puff. First Confrontation, Static Shock, A League of Their Own Part 1. Armadillo, First Confrontation, Static Shock, A League of Their Own Part 1. Leech, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Romeo in the Mix. Talon, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Big Leagues. Sheev, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Big Leagues. Ferret, First Confrontation, Static Shock, The Big Leagues. Toyman, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Toys in the Hood. Time Zone, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Flashback. Professor Menace, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Blast from the Past. Cobra, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Future Shock. Onini, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Out of Africa. Mboro, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Out of Africa. Sinestro, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Fallen Hero. Dr. Odium, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Hoop Squad. Aquamaria, First Confrontation, Static Shock, Wet and Wild. Bonk, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp. Kronos, First Confrontation, The Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp. Chuckles, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp. DD Twins, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp. Wolf, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, The Once and Future Thing Part 2, Time Warp. Ink, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, Epilogue. Killer Croc 2, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, Epilogue. Shriek, First Confrontation, Justice League Unlimited, Epilogue.